Hey you guys, welcome to Consume the Goodness. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because there are so many things going on. Everything is so busy and I need to trim my hair, but I didn't want to not do a video. So I'm going to do a video while I trim my hair. I didn't get very much sleep last night and I'm going to be talking while I cut my hair, so hopefully this does not end in a complete disaster. But this is what we're going to do today. So since this channel is all about combining God's word with healthy lifestyle, that's exactly what I'm going to do here as I talk about cheat days. In my personal experience, and then also in personal experience, I mean when I was 13, that's when I went on my very first diet, and I've been on so many different diets. So in my personal experience and in my experience as a lifestyle coach and as a weight management coach, the way that that's how I coach cheat days. And so that's what we're going to talk about, because cheat days, in my opinion, really line up with sin. So here we go. Hopefully I don't totally cut a huge chunk out of my hair that I don't want out. Okay, so talking about cheat days and how can a cheat day be like sin? Okay, think about it like this. Would you ever say, oh my gosh, I've been doing so well with just everything. I've been so good. I haven't been lying. I haven't been treating people badly, so I'm gonna have a sin day. No, we don't do that. And so why would we have a cheat day? Like this is a lifestyle thing, having a healthy lifestyle. So if we're trying to have a lifestyle, then it shouldn't be just certain days we do really well and then we have other days that we designate to do poorly. We should be trying to do our best all the time with what we're eating and the choices that we're making, how we're spending our time, the way that we handle stress, the amount of sleep that we get, the food that we eat, choosing to be physically active. That should be something that we're trying to do every day, not just some days. And then have a cheat day where you can just like be really bad. And so the way that I look at this, I'm not saying don't ever eat foods that aren't good for you. I mean, it would be good to not eat foods that, aren't good for you. But we're people, we're human people, so that's exactly how I look at cheat days. It's how I can view sin. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we are not perfect people. We will never ever be perfect people. So to say that I'm never gonna eat a cookie, I'm never gonna eat, whatever it might be that you would normally eat on a cheat day, that's like saying I'm never ever going to sin. I'm never gonna make a bad decision. I'm never going to lie. I'm never gonna have an impure thought or whatever. We're going to, because we're people and we sin. So we should just be trying to do our best all the time. And then when we don't, try to correct it. That's how sin is, there's an analogy between sin and cheat days, because we don't have sin days. And so why should we have cheat days? We're not going to make the best decisions every single time, but let's at least try to make the best decision every time. Let's at least try to make the best decisions every day in everything that we do, in our walks with Jesus and in our healthy lifestyle. I already messed up. I had to stop and fix what I messed up on my hair because I wasn't paying attention, and I put the new cut stuff, I mixed it with the old cut stuff, so just using it as a baseline. Oh, I'm not some hair professional, so I'm just cutting my hair. This is not a hair cutting tutorial. Just, remember that. Okay, so does this make sense? Does it make sense what I'm trying to say? How we can have an analogy between cheat days and sin. They're not exactly the same, obviously, but there is still a similarity in the fact that we should just be trying to do our best all the time in everything that we do and not setting aside days to not be our best. If it doesn't make sense in our walks with Jesus, why would it make sense in our healthy lifestyle part? So just like we would never say, I've been real good, I'm gonna have a sin day. Why have a cheat day? Why not just try to do our best? We know that we're gonna have days that we don't eat well, or it doesn't even have to be an entire day. It could just be one meal that we didn't choose very wisely. And then we just have to say, oh crap, that wasn't so great. So I'm gonna do better for the rest of the day. And that also is kind of like how sin is. If we do one bad thing, like if we tell a lie, or if we treat someone poorly, or if we, whatever example you want to use here, if we do something that we shouldn't, that is not pleasing to God, if we do one thing, we don't just go on and be like, oh, well, I already told that lie, I already cheated, I already did this one thing, so I might as well just keep on going with it, and I did the one thing, might as well just keep it going. No. I hope this makes sense. I'm not even sure what I'm saying anymore because I'm afraid I'm gonna mess up my hair. And I'm afraid I'm gonna not get the message across very well at the same time. So I guess we'll see how this turns out. Is it gonna make sense? You let me know. Alright, so cheat days. That's how I feel about cheat days. I don't like them. They have not been very helpful as far as coaching goes, because there's just such a risk of staying on that track, or being like, oh man, I really missed this. Yeah, I'm just gonna eat like this all the time again because I miss it and it felt so good, it tasted so good, it was so whatever. Instead of just taking things one moment at a time, trying to do our best. And if we fall short, saying, oh crap, that's alright. That one meal isn't going to completely kill my healthy lifestyle. I need to just get back to it. Okay, so some people will think, oh, I don't have a cheat day. I'm not going to have a cheat day, so I'm just never going to eat these things that I love so much. Well, this is how I talk about that type of stuff. So first of all, there are lots of alternatives. So something that is your absolute favorite, try to find healthier versions of that thing, and that healthier version might become your favorite. But something else is just to balance so much. A healthy lifestyle, so much is just about balance. Balance your time, balance what you're doing, balance what you're eating. If you have a sweet tooth, then find a way to eat something sweet. If there's a holiday tradition, okay, we have Christmas now, and everybody, you make a gingerbread house, or you make cookies or something with your family, and you want to eat some of it, then eat some of it. When you completely cut things out, it does so many things. I know that a lot of people don't agree with this, and I know that there are things that should completely be cut out because they're just not good for us at all. But that does not work for everybody. That doesn't work for some people. Some people feel super deprived, and then they end up not really even enjoying any type of healthy lifestyle because it just feels like a bunch of crap they can't do. They're not enjoying things. They feel like, not very many people like to be told, you can't do this, you can't do that, and then they don't do it. Like being able to choose for yourself what you put in your body, and if you have made a commitment to living a healthy lifestyle, being able to choose for yourself what you put into your body really does impact how successful you're going to be, versus following something super strict that you are missing a bunch of foods, or you don't like some of the foods that you're eating now, and you don't like some of the foods that you're eating now, and then you end up just saying screw it, and then you go back to just eating whatever, and you completely give up on anything healthy at all. We don't want that. So cheat days, I don't like them. I think that we should just balance things out. If you really have a serious craving for whatever it is, then have some self-control. Either have an alternative, a healthier alternative to that, or control how much of it you actually have. Don't go completely crazy. Give yourself some type of limitations and have some. Sometimes giving, and this is not what I'm saying with sin, but as far as the food part goes, sometimes giving in to something that you're craving just for that, in that moment, sometimes keeps you on track. I hope this makes sense. It seems pointless to me to have a day set aside specifically to make unhealthy choices. And to me, that would be like having a sin day, which would be a day completely set aside to just be bad and do things you know you shouldn't be doing because you haven't been sinning. You haven't been doing bad things for a while, or you've been really, really good for a week, so now you're gonna have a sin day. Like, that is what it seems like to me, cheat days. Just keep things balanced. Each meal, however you need to do it. If it's easier for you to go off of each day, then keep things balanced for a day at a time. Keep things balanced for a week at a time. Keep things balanced for a meal at a time. However you need to do that, do it that way. Keep it balanced. Try to do the best that you can as far as the food choices that you make. And if you happen to make a food choice that's not great, then have the next one be good. Like, correct it. Don't.
Oh yeah.
Alright, that's just my 2 cents on cheat days. I also want to say happy birthday, David. Our oldest son's birthday is tomorrow. So I want to say happy birthday, but there's also something in that I connect with God. There's always something. Because Jesus is in us, so he's in our lives, he's everywhere, and it's great. So what will I say for that? Well, on this day, on this exact day, 11 years ago, I was in a hospital because I was bleeding. I woke up and something was not right. So I was like going to the bathroom. Things weren't good. I thought I was having a miscarriage. I thought he was coming out. Like, it wasn't good. I was bleeding all over the place. I was passing a bunch of blood clots. Sorry if this is too much information for some of you. And so we went to the hospital and we were told, oh, it's normal to have bleeding in your, I was at 24 weeks. It's normal to have bleeding. And I was telling them, like, this is my second child, so it feels like I'm having contractions, something like it's not right, and I'm bleeding, and it feels like this. But the doctor wasn't there. He was on call, so he told the nurse, just do a UA, and if her UA comes back normal, then just send her home, tell her to make an appointment with her doctor. So they said, oh, you just have some blood in your urine, everything's fine. Go home, make an appointment with your doctor. Well, that night, everything was terrible. That was the longest night ever. I had a really high fever. My mother-in-law was feeling, and she's like, are you sure she's not farther along than they said? Because he's really low. And we were like, nope, 24 weeks. But I had a fever. I felt terrible. I kept having these, like, I kept going into convulsion type things, and where I couldn't breathe. It felt like, I've never had seizures before, but it felt like maybe that's what it was. Everything was tight. I had a hard time breathing. I was shaking all over the place uncontrollably. It was very bad. And the next morning it was still happening and I was still bleeding. So we went to a doctor and they said, yeah, she needs to go to the hospital. And then that hospital had me hooked up to monitors. I was doing very poorly. I was dying. Our baby was dying, and my husband was being told, okay, so this isn't so great. We have to take her to she needs to go to a different hospital because we can't deliver at 24 weeks here. That's too early. So she needs to go to another hospital. But she has to go by, she can't go by ambulance because that will take too long and she will be gone by then. So she needs to be airlifted to the hospital. So he was told that, and they said, we need you to make decisions when we get there. We need to know what we're doing, so who do you want to save? Because she's dying, in the process of dying, and your baby might die, so which one do you want us to try to save? So that's what was going through my husband's mind. I was onto the helicopter, and as he was driving to the hospital, he said that he was like flying down the freeway, going so fast, and then stopped himself and slowed himself down. And it was because of Jesus. He was calling out to him and was trusting him and saying, nope, they are in God's hands. She's in God's hands. The baby's in God's hands. This whole situation is, and I'm trusting you. I'm not going to panic because I know that panic and anxiety and worry, that comes from the devil. So he slowed himself down, And Jesus got him through that. He got to the hospital, and I really don't remember a lot of what happened because I was really out of it, not doing very well. But eventually, David came out completely still, nothing. I remember looking at my husband, and I could kind of see this thing in the corner of my eye, and his eye started to tear up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just gave birth to a dead baby. That's what I thought. And I thought he was dead for the longest time. They took me off to ICU, but then when my husband got there before they had to leave, he said that he did make a sound and they got his heartbeat going and that he was in NICU. So that was what that was like. For Jesus got us through that, because for 4 months David was in the hospital. He was in NICU for 4 months before he was allowed to come home. And even then, when he came home, we didn't just go home with the baby. We went home with the baby and oxygen tanks and a pulse ox and all these different things to hook up to him. And that was such a scary time because we were at the hospital. Let's see. He was born on the 23rd, and I was able to go home on the 28th on my birthday. Driving away from the hospital was such a crazy feeling because it's like you could physically feel part of you like separating. The farther we got away from the hospital, it's like, my kid is still in there. And then everything, we were just, just always wondering, is he still alive? Is he still alive? Every time the phone rang and it was the hospital, we're like looking at each other for a while before we answer the phone, like, oh crap, are they about to tell us that our kid died? But there is no way that we would have gotten through that on our own. And when we did start to worry, and when we did start to think about our own, worldly understanding of things, that the reason why it all happened is because I had salmonella sepsis. So instead of just like throwing up or whatever like people would normally do when they get salmonella, it went into my bloodstream, which means it was in his bloodstream. My body, trying to get rid of an infection, thought that the baby was the infection, which started breaking the placenta away, and that's why I went into labor, because my body was trying to get the infection out, even though it wasn't him. So he was born with that too. So it was really hard to keep him alive. Like his numbers were dropping constantly. His machine was dinging constantly in the NICU. He had to have surgery because his heart wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing, since he wasn't inside of me to finish developing like it was supposed to. So that was really scary. Like, this tiny little 24-week, he was 1 pound 5 ounces baby is about to have heart surgery, and is he gonna live through this? And it was a lot. And then at home it was a lot, trying to go to sleep at night, and then the machines would start going off because his oxygen levels would start to go down, or his pulse wasn't beating right or whatever. And there's no way at all that we would have been able to get through that without Jesus. That kid had so many people praying over him while he was in the hospital, and it was just awesome, because when we would start to really worry and be afraid, the type of peace that only comes from Jesus, the type of comfort that only comes from him, is what we were met with. But there wasn't a lot. You would think that it would be like crying and really bad depression, or just constantly worried and on edge. And of course we were concerned, and of course we were thinking about him all the time. We were at the hospital as long as we possibly could be. We also had our daughter at home, so being with her and being with David in the hospital, trying to balance that out, and it was just a lot. So when we would start to, if those feelings came of like stress or really just sadness or worry, it was met with just peace and comfort that doesn't come from anywhere else. It doesn't come from even your very best friend, or your husband, or your wife, or your mom, or your dad. Nowhere does peace and comfort, and it just doesn't. No one on this earth can provide that type, that level. It is unmatched. unmatched. And so that's why I tell this story, not because I want people to be like, oh my gosh, and oh, that was so sad and whatever, thinking about us, but to think about that even in a situation like that, you can still have comfort, even when you're wondering, is my kid alive right now? Is my kid alive right now? And there was a lot of other stuff going on at that time, but right now I'm talking about David because his birthday is tomorrow. So that is why I bring this up. And we tell him this story. We tell our kids this story, not so they can feel sorry for him, not so that he can be some kind of victim, or any of us can be some type of victim and people feel sorry for us that we experience that. People experience things. Like, we all experience traumatic things and very sad things and loss and stress and whatever. So the point of telling the story is not that. The point of telling the story is that Jesus wrapped us up, and that he can do that for you too, and that he is the only one who can give that type of peace and comfort and love and support and provide all of your needs, and to somehow make you feel okay when everything around you, when your worldly eye, in your eyes, it's not okay, but you feel at peace because you know that everything is okay because of Jesus, because of the relationship that you have with him. So salvation, that's what you get. That's like a perk, if you want to use that word, of being a child of God, is that you get unmatched comfort and peace and love and joy and everything. It is unmatched, and I am 100% accurate when I say that word. Anyone who is saved knows that I'm 100% accurate. And people who aren't, or people who maybe don't believe in God, probably are saying, no, I'm happy as can be. There's nothing that can make me any happier. And it's not true. Hearing the gospel message and believing in Jesus and believing that he died for us, his sinless self died for us and all of us in the future for our sins, to save us from hell. And he was crucified and buried and rose from the grave for us. And knowing that and believing that and trusting in Jesus and believing in him is life-changing. And that is just a fact. It just is a fact. So I pray that you guys, if you're not saved, that you become saved, so that you can experience this too, and so that you can experience life with him while we're here on earth, and eternal life in heaven, because Jesus is the only way to get there. Jesus is the only way for you to have your eternal life with Christ in heaven. There is no other way. We can be the best person ever and so giving and so loving and kind and just amazing people, but if we don't have Jesus, we don't have heaven. And if we don't have Jesus, we don't have the unmatched everything. Jesus is the only way. Jesus is the only one way, period. Not how awesome you are, not the great things that you do, not being baptized without Jesus. That makes no sense. Those are not the things that get you to heaven. Those aren't the things that give you this amazing life that is just incredible. I'm telling you guys. Happy birthday, David. That was a long thing, but it all came back to God, which was the whole point. It all came back to Christ. That was the whole point of it, was to tell that story. And so many things, so many emotions. We can be going through something where it seems like, oh my gosh, my world is crumbling, and I don't remember a lot of that day, but the stuff that I do remember it was a lot. And when I think about what my husband went through, when I think about what my husband was faced with that day, as a 24-year-old guy, who do you want to save? And these people in my life are, this might be the last day that I ever see them. And who knows what's going to happen. But he found his strength. He had strength. He was strong. You would never even know that he was feeling the stuff he was feeling inside on the outside, because he had a strength that came only from Christ. It only came from him. And I just love that. I love it. This is like one of the most tragic things that have happened in our lives, in my life at least, and in the life that I've had with my husband. Those are, I would say, my most favorite. Those are some of my favorite stories and some of my favorite things that we've experienced. even though it was really, whatever, sad or hard or difficult as we were going through it, knowing how much Jesus held us through those things and what we learned through those things, we always learned something, and we come out better on the other end. We have learned something, and we come out wiser, and we come out stronger, and we come out with an even stronger faith than we had before that. And then we face something else that's difficult, and we have an even stronger faith than we had before that. And it's awesome. I love the difficult things that we go through, because in those times, when everything is really great, you don't really feel this, strength coming only from God. Like, this is not my strength that I have right now through this, because I feel like I want to just crumble and fall to the floor and break down. But I'm not doing that for some reason. We don't feel like that when things are awesome. But when things are so difficult and then we feel that strength somehow keeping us standing up on our 2 feet instead of laying on the floor breaking down, it's awesome. It is amazing. And it's unmatched. And that's just, I'm going to keep using that word because it's true. There's nothing else like it. Nothing else compares. It is unmatched. You guys, I'm telling you, unmatched. All right, so cheat days, I don't really like them. I think we should just be doing our best each day, trying with each decision that we make, trying to do our best. And that don't completely beat yourself up and feel like you're the scum of the earth, or that you're a complete failure if you don't choose well every single time. But when we don't choose well, to try to do better and to correct it, to improve somehow, to learn something through it, to whatever. That's how I feel about cheat days. Happy birthday, David. You're 11 and it's crazy. Well, tomorrow you'll be 11. And thank you, Jesus, for keeping my baby alive. And for everything that we learned and grew in that situation. It was awesome. And the gospel. Listen to the gospel message, you guys. And give your life to Christ. Allow him to take up residence in you so that you know this type of life that I'm trying to describe. Well, that's it. I'm done. I hope this video wasn't too completely boring for you. And I appreciate you allowing me to talk with you guys while I cut my hair to try to save some time. Guys, don't forget to check out the links in the description with Pastor Stuart and Jennifer Guthrie at Family Bible Fellowship. So good. Such a good use of your time. And so the Linktree account, Pastor Stewart's Linktree account, that's where you can hear all the messages. There's also a link down there for Patty Gable. She has a Vimeo channel where she does videos about putting on the armor of God, and they are so good. They're so good, and you feel good after you listen to those things. They're great. So check out her links in the description as well. I have some links down there, some Consume the Goodness links. There are links down there. So there are just good things down there in the description. Don't forget to go check that area out. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for everything. God bless each and every one of you guys. And I'm going to tell you Merry Christmas. I'll probably do a really short Merry Christmas video on Christmas, because that will be Saturday when my next video is due. But in case you don't see it, I'll tell you now, Merry Christmas. Alright, I think I'm done rambling on. Yep, I'm done. I love you.